Hello orchid fans, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. Today's video is going to be about how I keep record of my orchids. So I've got over 40 orchids, which is not a lot. It's a fairly small collection, so to be honest, I kind of remember most of information about them, but I will show you what kind of record I keep on my orchids and how I do it, so that I don't forget, when I repotted them or when they bloom. I'm also just wanted to show you this Dendrobium cubertsonii. Look at this beauty. It's blooming so nicely. It's still got a couple buds to open still, but it's so bright and nice. I love it. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump on the computer screen and I can show you exactly what I'm doing and how I'm kind of collecting all of it. Okay, so I'm on just Chrome Internet Explorer, it's just on the internet, wherever, and I'm logged into my Google account, and if I go into apps and then into my drive, this is basically where I keep all my records on orchids. So if I go into my orchids folder in the drive, what I like about this is that it's all cloud based, so I can access it anywhere. I can access it on my phone, on tablet, any device that has access to the internet basically, which means I will always have it handy. Plus, if my computer crashes, this information is not gonna disappear. So as you can see, I've got folders for each of my orchids. I kind of now stopped doing that. What I used to do is I would take photos of the orchid every month, so that I've got some kind of record of basically how the orchid is progressing. But as I started doing the videos and I do the monthly updates, I basically have a video footage of all my orchids, so I feel like it's not really necessary to take photos every month anymore, but I'm keeping all the historic information anyway. And then I've got this spreadsheet here which is called Orchids List, so let's go on to that one. So yeah, this is what I've basically got. So it is just a normal spreadsheet. Google Drive is completely free. If you've got a Gmail account, then you will have access to Google Drive as well, and all of these spreadsheets and Word files and all of these, they are all free to use, so it's you don't have to pay for any of that unless you use up all the space available. Then you need to buy extra storage, but I think there is maybe 15 or 18 gigabytes that you can use, so it's quite a lot. So on this spreadsheet here, the information I'm keeping is so what type of orchid it is, and then whether it's a species name or a hybrid name, and then I've got when I purchased it, where I got it from, and then basically the last time I repotted the orchid. And then if I repotted it more than once, I would add a note to have my previous repot date, and then in actual cell I would have basically the last repot date. But I quite like to keep the history as well, just to see kind of how often it's been going. And then I've got parents, if I know them or if I could find them. Some of them are species, so I just say it's species. And then if it's if I've got parents, I will put them in. I mean, some of them are such complex hybrids that it's quite difficult to be able to know all the parents. Like a complex phalaenopsis. I call it blue because when it came in, it was the flowers were blue, but it was all dyed. So when it rebloomed, it was just normal white phalaenopsis. But it's such a complex hybrid. I don't really see the point in even knowing what the parents are. It's not gonna make any difference, to be honest, to the way I look after it. So as you can see, I've got quite a few species as well, which I quite like. And then this section here is basically all about flowering and spikes and fragrance of flowers. So On the fragrance, most of them I was able to find, you know, some kind of reference on the internet, whether there is any kind of flavor, fragrance or none. On some of them I couldn't find any information, so I just left it as blank. So, you know, hopefully once it flowers I will know. And yeah, and then if the plant flowers, then I will say when I first saw the spike, and then I will also add some notes as well if I want to, you know, if it's maybe was just one spike or a couple, how many flowers on the spike and so on. I can just add a note. So the way I add note, I just right click on the cell, and then I just say insert note, and then it gives me this kind of box where I can type things in. But in the actual cell I will just put the date in. And then the flowering period, so I will put a range of dates, so when the flower opened and then when basically the flowers dropped. And the way I do it is I say when the first flower opened and when the last flower dropped, so basically the total flowering period. And then fragrance, as I said, to be honest, on this one I actually didn't really feel much fragrance at all, but it wasn't too pleasant, but it was so faint I could only feel it if I stick my nose right into it, so it didn't bother me at all, thankfully. And then here I say if it's epiphytic or terrestrial. To me this is quite important because it differs how I pot it, so that's why this is here for. And then I've got, so temperature range, rather than putting the actual temperatures, I prefer to just say if it's warm or intermediate or hot or cool grower, because what I can do here is if I've got you know, kind of uniform words, I can then filter them out. So for example, if I want to see all my cool growers, I can just select cool, click OK, and I can see that I've got 3 plants that are cool growers. So I've got Tumas Devalias and Pleurophyllus Dilemma. So I'll make sure that they are in the coolest spot possible. I've got a couple hot growers, or one to be precise. So Dendrobium Pseudoquitans is kind of hot grower. So again, I just want to make sure it doesn't get any kind of drafts or any cooler temperatures. So yeah, I quite like, you know, to be able to filter things out when I need it. Same with light. So I say if it's low or high, medium, that bright, I think I'll maybe change that to high. So again, it's more kind of uniform. And then whether the plant needs wind rest or not, again, it is literally just yes or no. So maybe when the autumn comes, or kind of when it's towards finishing, I'll check all my cooler growers, all my winter resters, and say, okay, do I need to rest them or not? To be perfectly honest, I probably just will look at the plants themselves, and then if they're growing, then they're not gonna get any rest, but it's still good to have some kind of information of what they would normally prefer. And then in terms of watering, if the plant needs a wet-dry cycle or not, and then I just say either none, medium, short, or long. So for example, if I pick a long wet-dry cycle, I've got my Cattleya here and basically Tolumnias. So you know, Tolumnias, I really want to make sure they all dry out pretty well before I water them again. This Cattleya probably could do with a medium wet-dry cycle. I think that's where the rest of my Cattleyas are. So again, I'm more kind of, as I learn about the plants, I don't use this information every day. It's more just kind of for reference, but I just look at the plants and see what they need. Temperature drop, this is more kind of to induce blooming. Does it need a temperature drop or not? Some plants will specifically need the temperatures to drop to induce a flower spike, whereas others may not. So again, just kind of extra information for myself. So yeah, and as I say, you know, I've got this filter on as well, so I can filter them through, and you know, if I want to have a look at maybe all my dendrobiums, I can just filter them out and I don't have to look at the whole list. What I also like is that I can sort it. So for example, if I want to sort it by the date I purchased them, you know, I can do that, and then I can see that my complex hybrid phal was my very first orchid, and then Dendrobium nobile was the second one, and then the miniature Phalaenopsis complex hybrid, and so on and so forth. Or I usually keep it sorted by genera, which just makes easier for me to find an orchid if I need to just go in and quickly have a look at something. You know, I can again just sort it by seller, for example, or filter by seller if I want to have a look what orchids I got from a specific nursery or a shop or wherever I got it from. So yeah, I find it quite easy to use. I looked into a couple apps as well, and I just found that it takes quite a lot of time to set everything up. And yeah, I think, you know, spreadsheet is kind of more, I can customize it in any way I want. If I think I maybe need another column, I can just you know, quickly add it in and just put the information I want in and have it there. Or if I maybe, you know, don't want to see the flowering information for now because I'm looking at something else, I can just hide those columns, for example, only focus on something else I want. So yeah, I just find it quite easy to use. To be honest, I use spreadsheets every day. I'm an accountant by profession, so you know, spreadsheets is my I look at them every single day. I build them and do a lot of things with them. So for me, a spreadsheet is something very comfortable. So I find it easy to use. And yeah, I was also thinking to maybe, you know, use like a notebook and just handwrite things, but I find that, especially as I'm kind of building the collection, I find that, okay, maybe I want an extra bit of information that I want to keep on my orchids. Here, as I say, I can just insert a column and just put information in. Whereas in a notebook, if the information is missing, I can't just add a section in the middle somewhere because it's probably all laid out and filled out. So, or if I, for example, as I say, you know, if I want to keep some kind of more records of flowering periods, for example, or how many times I repotted the orchid, it just can get so long that there is not enough space in the notebook. So I just find this kind of a bit easier to use. I've also got another tab here. I know it's hard to see, but it's basically a list of orchids that I used to have and no longer have. It's mainly, as you can see, it's Phalaenopsis because I just kind of gave them away or sold them because I just didn't want to have as many phals later on. And then these two orchids I actually lost. Psychopsis, I just rotted the poor thing by watering from the top and rotted all the new growths. Comparetia speciosa, I just could not figure out how to take care of it. And I don't even think I had a Comparetia speciosa, just by looking at the way the plant looks and what the pictures on the internet were, and I just could not figure out what that plant needed, so it just deteriorated and I lost it. But yeah, I just keep it here. As you can see, there is not much information on these ones because I lost them quite early. I didn't have all this information in the spreadsheet at that time, so I didn't find it necessary to kind of fill it all out, especially when the orchids are gone anyway. And that was it. So I hope it was useful. Hopefully it gives you a bit, you know, some ideas of how you can keep record of your orchids. And let me know down in the comment section below, how do you keep records of your orchids? Do you keep a spreadsheet, or do you have an app, or do you just have a notebook with notes? I would be very interested to know because it took me a while to kind of figure out the best way to do it, and I'm still not 100% sure if this is the best way, but it kind of works for me now, so I'm happy with it. But yeah, let me know down below. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying your day so far, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!